Hello, this is Dr. Paul Cottrell, and I want to explain a new development that is taking place for therapeutics instead of vaccines that I think is important to review. I am recording this on August 11th. Now, there is a clinical trial, I believe it's in the third phase, and it's of about 1,800 patients. That is taking an antiviral medication that it can be administered orally. Now, remdesivir can only be given intravenously, so you have to be in the hospital to be able to get it, right? So you have to be hospitalized, right? You have to be bad enough to be in the hospital to warrant getting remdesivir. But there is a drug that's being tested that was originally for influenza. It's a prodrug, which basically means that it has to be metabolized before it's active. But what happens is that it's a synthetic nucleoside. So that kind of disrupts the viral production. All right. This code name is MK4482. My understanding is that it was developed by Emory University, and Merck is doing the clinical trials. Now, FDA approval has not taken place yet, obviously, in the United States, but the United States has purchased about 1.7 million doses of this. The Australian government is also going to be purchasing, or trying to, once it gets approval, purchase this drug. It can be administered from a pharmacy. So what possibly could happen here is that if it passes the clinical trial, the third clinical trial, that what will happen is a doctor will see that you have mild symptoms. Let's say you test positive for the RT-PCR, and the doctor would go, okay, I'm going to administer this drug. All right. The name of the drug is Molnupiravir, or Pyrevir, I guess it's pronounced. Molnupiravir. It's kind of similar to remdesivir, right? But, all right, so Molnupiravir, again, is a synthetic nucleoside prodrug that will stop viral production, all right? What has happened is that individuals that have mild cases to moderate cases of COVID-19, given this drug 2 doses a day or 2 tablets a day for 5 days, will show 0 viral load. That is, if that's true, which it probably is, that is great news. This is very similar to what you would see with remdesivir, but that is administered IV, okay? And you have to be in the hospital, so they're not going to give the average person that has a mild case or a moderate case that doesn't need to be hospitalized remdesivir. So this is being able to control the infection through therapeutics. That's very important, extremely important. So I think this, in terms of therapeutics, could be a major game changer, because now you can have it treated in the home and not in the hospital. So it's Molnupiravir, and hopefully I'm pronouncing it right. And this seems to be moving in the right direction. The United States has purchased almost 2 million doses of this drug. The Australians are moving on board with purchasing it from Merck, and hopefully we can get this on the market and therefore have another tool in the toolbox to be able to treat COVID-19 infections and stop SARS-CoV-2 in its tracks. It's a multi-pronged approach. You're going to have antibodies that are naturally created through natural infection in the population. Individuals that took the vaccine, you're going to have some antibodies for that. There's going to be some cross-reactivity between different infections relative to different variants. And you have now a arsenal that's starting to be built up that can be used for fighting COVID-19. That includes some of the things that people were talking about early on, like zinc and Z-Pak and remdesivir and hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin and all these things, right? These are tools in the toolbox, but this particular prodrug, molnupiravir, is, I think, a major game changer. Just like remdesivir was a major game changer when administered in the hospital, especially with the monoclonal antibodies like Regeneron. So stay tuned. This is coming to a pharmacy near you for treatment of mild COVID-19 or moderate COVID-19 disease. Catch it early and you lower the chances. Now that dovetails into a news announcement that took place from a nurse that was being interviewed on ABC from Texas. So COVID-19 cases are obviously going up because of Delta. This nurse, ER nurse, was talking about the overloading that is taking place in Texas. Now they're doing outside tents, very reminiscent of what was going on in New York. And but their ERs are being overloaded now. Now, she was pushing the whole vaccine thing, well, you should be taking the vaccine, that's what she's saying. I still hold the belief that it should be a choice, but the data does suggest that if you have been vaccinated, that the particular severity of the disease for SARS-CoV-2 will be low relative to the unvaccinated. But that's the data. What I'm concerned about is that there's not enough focus on what is going on with this big uptick of cases. The data suggests that there's antibody-dependent enhancement from the vaccinated group, even though severity of Delta is less for the vaccinated. That needs to be investigated more, and we need to understand the mechanism, the location, and if this is potentially a looming threat with other variants. It may be just for Delta. And I also mentioned in a previous video that antibody-dependent enhancement doesn't necessarily mean that it's all bad. It may be a natural phenomenon that emerges that helps with dealing with pandemics way before modern medicine. And it's just a natural phenomenon that takes place. So there are antibody-dependent enhancements that are very severe and very bad. And this might be one. But I suspect that it's also an emerging property for developing herd immunity. Because what it'll do is it'll push through. Because you got to remember that antibody-dependent enhancement could be made from antibodies through natural infection or through artificial means through like a vaccine. So both could be very true. We don't know which path we're on with Delta. It seems that we're on the path that it is an emergent property in that it might be beneficial. So when everyone's saying antibody-dependent enhancement, there's strong evidence of it, I agree, there is. It's not so clear that it is detrimental at the societal level when you go out several months from now. It actually may help with herd immunity. And I think that's an important point to understand here. But the purpose of this video is to understand that there are therapeutics that are coming on board that, if given in the early phases, when it's mild, you test positive, you prescribe for 5 days the molnupiravir. Molnupiravir. I'll eventually remember the name. That will really bring down the infection load, especially if it's caught early. You take it for 5 days, and you weather the effects. My understanding is that those individuals that were tested were not tested with the vaccine. So that's an interesting component to this. I'd like to see some data on taking molnupiravir with vaccinated group and without the vaccinated group and see how they fare. Because the ones that are not vaccinated obviously are going into the hospital more often. But the data seems to suggest, at least from Massachusetts, that more people were contracting SARS-CoV-2 that were vaccinated versus the unvaccinated, which is a telltale sign of a antibody-dependent enhancement, especially when you look at that the viral load was slightly higher, maybe not statistically significant, but slightly higher than the unvaccinated group. It should be lower. So just it being equal is a problem, which is another big piece of evidence of antibody-dependent enhancement. But again, it doesn't mean when we take this out several months that antibody-dependent enhancement is a bad thing. In this case, it may be an emergent property that helps to get to herd immunity from a natural infection kind of way. All right? That antibody-dependent enhancement may have been a natural phenomenon during eons of pandemics before modern medicine. That's my point. So stay tuned. I think this is great news, and it seems as though we'll probably, hear some sort of emergency provision by the FDA for molnupiravir, and it's orally administered, 2 tablets each day for 5 days for mild to moderate cases, and then eventually what happens is there's no viral load detected. That is great news. And the reason why is it's a synthetic nucleoside, and it's stopping the production of new virus. It's great news because now it's moving treatment into the pharmacy instead of treatment only in the hospital. Thank you for listening, and have a nice day. Oh, by the way, before you have a nice day, you need to subscribe to all my channels. Please go to the description box below this video and click and subscribe to all my channels. I have 3 YouTube channels. Even though you don't see videos on them, I premiere on those channels. And when I premiere, you can chat and I hide them. And then you go to Brighteon to share the links and to replay. Also, you can go to Rumble. I'm a little behind on my Rumble uploads because I've been writing my thesis. Right? So on my research, the research is going good. We're still doing some slide immune fluorescent type stuff and cytokine analysis and stuff.
So I've been doing this. I've been also doing statistical analysis on the first leg of the research. So that's doing well. Please go to Brighteon and share those links. Subscribe to Brighteon. Subscribe to my website. Go to Patreon. Be a Patreon subscriber and help support my research. I spent a lot of money on trying to find a treatment for autoimmune disorder using the TAT protein. All personal money, all right? So it would be nice, it'd be helpful if people chip in. Some people have chipped in, and thank you very much for the ones that have. You can donate on my website, either through Stripe or PayPal. Just on the front page, it's the-studio-reykjavik.com. That's where you can donate. Or, better yet, buy the products that I sell. I sell some really good anti-inflammatory, immune boosting, antioxidant supplements. The liquid nanosilvers and the gels will help neutralize pathogens and boost your immune system. I have soaps, I have toothpastes that are using the nanosilver. The toothpaste that I sell is the best toothpaste that you can buy. Guaranteed. It's about $15. Get a few items from the store and you're on your way to anti-aging. Because the theory that I have, and many other doctors have, but the theory I have is coming right out of the idea of preventative medicine. And in preventative medicine, it's about reducing inflammation. It's reducing ROS, which is reactive oxygen species. And when you do that, you can age slower and you can heal. By taking C60, which I sell, either in avocado or in coconut oil. And oh, by the way, coconut oil, the MCT coconut oil is antiviral. Now, the C60 is a very strong antioxidant, and because of that, it is thousands of times stronger than vitamin C. You need vitamin C for collagen and other things, but C60 as an antioxidant is what is needed to help with the healing of tissues, and it will bring down that ROS and help boost up that mitochondrial health. And when you do that, you will start to see that you have more energy and you have more ATP. And more ATP will give you the ability to heal more. And you'll have more energy, you'll have more muscle, you'll be able to do more things. When you look at people that are elderly, what's the first thing that happens? They start losing energy. And it's a downward spiral from there. And then they get to a certain point in their chronological age and it rapidly goes down. It's not linear, it's exponentially degrading. By boosting up the health of your tissues, you will push back that process. That's what I call anti-aging. I have anti-aging boxes that are curated by myself and at different price points, and you can purchase them easily on my store.